everyone, this is Ramblingruby. Well, I got my water heater in and I'm still looking at YouTubes to see how to put my backup camera on and my composting toilet. I've seen quite a few different ways to do that, so anyway, we'll get to that later on. Today I was going to talk again about some safety tips for women and seniors, because I think women have more fears than men, of course, when they're traveling. And a lot of women fear more than others. So that's going to be my, what do I used to call it? My vent today, I guess. Anyway, I don't think men, when they're traveling, are worried about somebody stalking them or getting attacked, or I'm talking about people, not bears or animals. And that there's things you can do to keep yourself safe even when you're alone and traveling. So that's one of the things I want to talk about today. And I should be sort of I'm not going to say an expert, but I do watch all them ID shows, 48 Hours, and those that have all the murders and attacks on them. So if I ever take a notion to kill someone, I'll know what not to do. But I don't think I'd be interested in killing anyone. I even took a little lizard outside and set it loose, so it was in the house. Taking precautions are just being careful. And there have been a few cases here in Palm Beach County that has really bothered me over the years. Two especially that happened. And one, I think probably the lady couldn't help. She was probably a young girl. I was living in an apartment, and she went to do her laundry, and when she came back, the guys that was living across the hall grabbed her and brought her in, raped and tortured her, and then took her and dumped her into a canal. And when they found her, she had water in her lungs, meaning that she was still alive when they dumped her in there. Another one was, that one I don't think could have kept from being that happening. She didn't do anything that could have helped. Now the other lady really didn't do anything that made it happen to her. I just don't think she was aware of her surroundings. This lady was at the mall, and she was going to, after the mall, she left the mall, she was going to her friend's house. And I know it's at probably 10-15 miles from the mall to where she ended up. But when she pulled into the driveway, this car had pulled right in behind her, jumped out of the car as she was trying to get out of the car, pushed her back in, got in the driver's seat, and drove off. And there was I think 4 or 5 of them that was in the car that did this. And they took her out into the sugar fields and shot her, threw her in a ditch. So that lady definitely wasn't watching her surroundings, or she would have noticed a car following her, or she would have definitely known when she pulled in that driveway there was a car behind her. And another thing, I've heard this forever. If someone tries to kidnap you or assault you or get you in a car, fight like everything, because if you get in the car with a likelihood of you going to be killed, it's probably like 100%. It's better to stay where you are and get shot if that would happen. And most time it probably won't, because there's too many people around, or they won't say right around you, but there would be somebody that would hear it. So that was one thing. Don't ever get in a car with anyone, even at gunpoint. Don't do it. It's better to die right there than it is to be taken out and tortured and killed like that, because you're definitely going to be killed if you I would say 95% of the time you will be. Well, these are pretty things you can be aware of, I think, even if traveling or not traveling. And this is just a traffic stops. This has happened too, and I've seen these on those ID videos too, where a person or man will be in an unmarked car, and there is a lot of unmarked cars nowadays. A policeman in unmarked cars. Lots of unmarked cars are on the highway right now, and I can see that on the interstate even more than probably locally. If someone stops you and they get out and pretend that they're a cop, look at their appearance. This is what look. Are they clean cut? Do they have a uniform on? Do they have a badge? Do they have identification? You know, if anything looks weird or out of place to you, ask them to call a backup. And I heard that the police probably call a backup, but if he's a real policeman. But I don't know about that. But anyway, if you're leery at all, drive to somewhere, just tell the cop, I'm not, or man or whoever, I'm not comfortable in this situation. I'm going to drive to the, and tell them where you're going to drive, you can come there. And what are they going to do? Are they going to take you to jail? Oh, even if they did, you'd have a good case if they didn't appear like a cop. Yeah, and the only time a cop should be out of uniform if he's off duty, and I don't think a cop should be stopping you if he's off duty. I actually got stopped by someone one time that was in a plain car. He was an older man though. A plain car, no uniform on, and I asked him, and where do you work? I said, well, I do this and that, and I just stopped because you were speeding. You know, well, of course, and it was like, what time was it? 6 or 7, because I just got off work. Probably after 7, but it was still daylight. But anyway, especially if it's dark or a lonely road. You know, if it hits like a deserted road, a road that's not traveled very often, and they stop you and it's an unmarked car and they don't look like a policeman. Anyway, even if they do look like a policeman, I don't think you should roll your window down more than that. The lowers are locked, and I don't think a cop ever asked a woman to get out of a car unless they thought she was on drugs or something. I really wouldn't think that they would do that. But the thing is, if a flashing light comes up behind you, women are going to pull over. That's just the thing that's automatic. You'll pull over because you think it's a cop, and it's always, sometimes it's not a cop. Believe me, like I said, I've seen on TV where actual cops have killed women too, bad cops, but also someone that's dressed like a cop or pretending to be a cop. And a cop should, you know what, a cops usually are very, well, I shouldn't say business-like, but that's pretty much what they are. Usually they'll say good day, whatever, and then they'll say, they've always said, do you know how fast you were going? And then they'll ask for your registration, driver license and registration. If they don't do that, they're not a cop. That would be what I would think. That ain't a cop unless he asks for that stuff, you know. They're very polite and official, they would be. Now, this is for flat tires and roadside emergencies. If you have a flat tire, and I have changed flat tires in my younger days. I wouldn't even attempt it nowadays because even back then I had a hard time getting the lug nuts off. And the lug wrench, I'd have to stand on the car and jump up and down on the lug wrench to get to loosen the lug nuts, you know, and then lifting the tire out takes some time. So that's what I'm saying. If you have a flat tire, and this would be something you might, if you think you're going to and you're out where you can't get help right away, one of those fix-a-flats. It's a can that you stick on the little nozzle that sticks out, and it will fix your flat to where you can get help. So that's a good idea. But anyway, I think you should have your car in good working order. And believe me, I say that, and I've had a couple of incidents where I've had engine problems. I think I don't know if I've told this before. When I had just started out, I was less than 200 miles from home. I was heading north, and I got to Daytona Beach, and my car just started wouldn't run. So what happened? I pulled over and I thought, well, I might be out of gas, but the gas hand was like a quarter tank. And I thought, well, I don't really know how low this will go. So I pulled over, pulled in the filling station, and I got premium gas, thinking maybe there was something wrong with the gas that I put in it. But anyway, come to find out, my transmission was gone. So, way away from home, no one to call. So, I pulled over in a Kmart that kicked me out. That was one time I got kicked out of a Kmart. And anyway, this is a real detailed tale, so I'm not going to really go into a lot of it. But anyway, ended up, I was at Amco parking lot for a week, and it cost a lot of money. Then I went probably 200 miles farther. It tore up again. Amco paid for that part of it, though. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. I've always been very lucky, and I should say lucky, when my car tears up, because I'm somewhere, or someone is around to help. And that's something else too, usually. And the other thing is, do not drive at night. Now, that time that my car transmission went out, I wasn't driving at night. It was 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But by the time I got to where I was supposed to be going and all the trouble I had getting there, it was dark. Anyway, I would say at 3 or 4 o'clock, if you're driving, start looking for a place to stop. You know, you do not want to be driving after dark, because even that could be scary if nothing's going on, maybe. But if you're out there in the dark, that's even worse, because you can't see what's going on around you. Anyway, my SUV has a tar underneath it. This is why I would never try to do it myself. It's underneath, you know how that is. But the tool to get it out with is under the back seat. And the back seat is laid flat, and all my stuff is piled on top of it. So it would be just an ordeal to get that flat tire out and out of there. Always have roadside assistance. Someone that you can call, whether it's Good Sam or whatever insurance you have, that you can call if you have any trouble. You know, and never, ever, ever, ever accept a ride with a stranger unless it's a policeman or a tow truck driver. I know I've had a lot of rides with tow truck drivers, you know. I've had a lot of car trouble in my life too. You trying to change the tire, and even a man trying to change the tire side of the road is a hazard. A lot of people have been hit by, killed by a car or a motorist or that runs off the road while they're parked beside the road and kills you. It's like you're a target out there. And if your car tears up, get as far over as you can get out of the car. If it's not pouring the rain or you're not freezing to death, get out of the car, get back as far as you can away from the car until help arrives. And like I said, hopefully you got a phone with you that works. And that's something else. Keep a phone charger where you can plug it into the lighter, where you can charge your phone, you know. Because I have had car trouble before, and it could probably only make one phone call before my phone was dying, you know. That's good too. Make sure you have working equipment, whether it's a GPS, your phone, whatever. Going back to the flat tire thing, this is something too. Changing a tire. Have you ever used those jacks that comes with the car usually? They're so bad that it's dangerous because they're very wobbly, and unless they're on firm ground, they can slip. And a car slipping off of a jack is a lot of weight, and you don't really know it could hit you. Someone comes along and asks if you need any help. This happened to my daughter, and it happened to me too. She said that this was at night with her, and she said this car came along, and she just had that gut feeling, no. I don't know if it's one person or two, but they asked if they could help her, and she said, no, someone just went across the street to call for help. And then the next guy come along, she got in the car with him, and he brought her home, you know. And the next morning, his wife called and said she'd left her billfold was in his car. That was a trusting wife, I think. Funny, but a trusting wife. I have a little list here while I'm looking. I'm so old I can't remember all this. And I said, this should go without saying nowadays. do not pick up strangers. Even if you have a conversation with someone for a short time, you still don't know them. You never know the intentions of people. Do not pick up a stranger. Do not even stop for a stranger. You know, that's happened too. This is more with kids, I think, but it could happen to ladies or whoever. People asking for directions, and you come over and they. This was a Bundy thing. Ted Bundy did pull this trick, that he would ask for help or whatever. And I don't know if they'd get in the car. Well, I guess they would get in the car with him or whatever, and that's how they got killed. But don't ever get close enough to a car where they can snatch you. And if it was me, I'd just say, well, I don't know, I'm new here. Ask someone else. Anyway, if you have to ask directions, don't ask it of some stranger on the road. I've done that too. Well, I was in my car and rolled my window down and did it. But I would actually prefer going into an establishment and asking the employees there. That's what I usually do. Whether it's a gas station, grocery store, any store, I'll stop and ask. I don't care to stop and ask for directions. No, some people don't want to do that. That won't bother me because I'm lost half the time anyway, so I'm used to it. You know, I always have this feeling, if you're lost, you'll definitely be found because you ain't going to get out of this world alive. And you may feel that way too. You may feel like you need to stop and help someone. And I don't care who it is, do not do it. If it's a little old lady, don't do it because that's been a trick too. They have a woman out there acting like she needs help, and then when you stop and get out or whatever, people jump out of the ditch or behind trees or whatever and accost you. And I saw one time when I was reading, don't get in the car with someone unless you're very sure. How can you ever be very sure? If it's a woman and family with a baby, don't do that, because I watched another story on the ID where it was a man and a woman and a baby, and she was hitchhiking and took a ride with him. They kidnapped her. He kept her in his basement for years, brainwashed her, where she was there for years, couldn't get away. They treated her as a maid, a sex object, kept her tied up, put her in a box, and all that. So, don't ever think you can look at someone and say, well, this person looks safe to me. No. Ted Bundy looks safe. You know. You can always dial 911 for anyone beside the road, you know. Another thing is, just like I had said before about the woman pulling in the driveway and the people behind her, always be aware of your surroundings. Always, because you could be talking on a cell phone. This is if you're outside walking or whatever. You could be talking on a cell phone or whatever, and you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, and you could get jumped and assaulted like that. Another thing, it always is a good idea, excuse me, to act like you know where you're going. And I always say that too, even in a building or somewhere where you're not supposed to be, act like you know what you're doing and nobody will stop you. It's true. Anyway, always be aware. I was actually robbed at gunpoint one time too, so that's something else experience that I don't know if I could have helped that or not. Okay, yeah. Get off the road before dark, please. Especially if you're traveling in a camper or a travel trailer or whatever like that, because you're going to need some space usually to get off the road. You can always go to, like I said, I have found truck stops to be my favorite anymore instead of Walmart. Truck stops. I have stopped at rest areas. I've stopped at Walmart. I stopped at, what's the one? Can't think of the name of it right now. You know, where you get breakfast all the time. Cracker Barrel. I've stopped at Cracker Barrel. So you can almost stop almost anywhere, I think. And a lot of people that's in more of a conservative vehicle, like a van or something, probably park a lot more places than you can pull in a travel trailer like I do. But anyway, That's for all you seniors and ladies out there. Like I said, you probably already know all this stuff, but it's good just for a refresher course every once in a while. And for me too. I need it every once in a while too. So thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe to everyone. Bye-bye.